I'm Midnight Agent Raw.
And I'm Okame.
We are the Super Media Bros podcast, and we are founding members of the OddPods Media Network.
Welcome everybody to the PodAskew podcast. I am...
Whoa, dude. No. This is our promo, not the show. I'm Rico.
Oh, sorry. I'm CJ, and we're the hosts of the PodAskew podcast.
We're fans of pretty much anything and everything pop culture, including movies, TV shows, books, video games, comics, music, and of course, Kevin Smith. Now, while we do keep our fingers on the pulse of Silent Bob, he certainly doesn't need our help in promoting him.
You got that right. We do our own thing, with inspiration from the man himself and his mantra of why not. We've got stories about celebrities, we've interviewed theories of our own for certain movies, and we can usually tend to have a great debate about anything.
We also do commentaries on movies. Sometimes we ask our fans what they want to watch with us. So if you love the timbre of our vocal cords and want to watch a movie at the same time, give us a listen.
Stay tuned every Monday, there's always something new. And if you've been good this year, we may even give you a bonus episode from time to time.
So please be good and subscribe to and enjoy PodAskew, founding member of the OddPods Media Network.
Super Media Bros.
Music.
How about music?
Well, sometimes you have really good songs that get remade into shitty versions of said songs.
Or what about even better versions?
Sometimes that happens too.
Then also, what about the same quality?
That's not always a given.
Do you roll dice on that aspect, or do you roll something else?
You roll the fucking record player, dude.
Oh yeah, you just reverse it?
You rock and roll that shit.
Yeah, that makes sense. Just roll the rocks, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Welcome to episode 161 of the Super Media Bros podcast. I'm Midnight Agent Raw.
And I'm Okame.
And today we have two very special guests, all the way from PodAskew, our OddPods Media brethren. Say hello to CJ and Rico.
What's going on, fella? How's it going?
I feel like we've done this before.
How are we?
Deja vu?
Yeah, deja fucking vu and shit.
I feel like I'm in a glitch in the Matrix right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. A little bit.
Where's that cat that fucking like shakes and meows and fucks off?
Actually, we have two of them in the house. I'm pretty sure we can call them in here real quick.
Between you guys and Dino, there's enough pussy around this house, around this conversation. We don't need more. So
We're not swimming in pussy.
No, it's just petting it.
Yeah.
Just petting.
Not quite how we envisioned that when we were teenagers, right, fellas? You know?
Oh no, I'm just as happy. I love cats.
Same. Not the movie, hopefully.
Oh, God.
No.
Hashtag release the butthole cut.
Only if it's Dame Judi Dench.
Oh my God, that would be great. Just
I
hers.
thought it was Anne Hesh. Wasn't Anne Hesh the butthole person?
In
Was
Psycho, yeah, but like I'm pretty sure Cats is just all fucking psychos.
Oh, and Cats, yeah.
We're talking about like if it's anatomically correct, there should be buttholes for the cats because anybody who's ever seen a cat, they like to show off their buttholes.
Well, Joel Schumacher did put nipples on bats, so you know what the fuck, you know.
And
Well, he
butts.
put nipples on a Batman suit. It was. I mean, if we're really, it wasn't like there was a giant fucking man bat and it had giant fucking man bat nipples
I'm sure he kept that in mind, though.
later in life.
Yes.
When he was alone.
Mm-hmm.
Just imagine Robert De Niro in the bat suit. I have nipples, Greg. Can you milk me?
Yeah, except Batman hasn't met his parents for a very long time.
Exactly. He just opens his closet and says, "Meet the Dockers." It's all his fucking khakis and shit.
Mm-hmm.
Meet the Jokers.
Yes.
There you go.
So what did we come on your guys' show to talk about?
We came on here to talk about music
Hey,
covers.
there's enough coming on things right now. Okay, let's keep it a little like
Both
less
figuratively and literally. Yeah, coming on. Yeah.
So no, we're going to talk about some song covers, you know, and each of us has brought a few or one or two or however many, because you know this is going to derail, and it doesn't matter if it does.
We already started that process.
That's what I'm
so
saying.
yeah.
Well,
So
that's how you do it. You derail the beginning, and then you kind of get back on track.
Yeah, you set the expectation for the rest of the episode.
the bar.
There is no bar.
I walked in.
Ours is set low. I
That's
know
because
that.
most of them are fucking closed during COVID. That's why.
Exactly.
The expectation bar is right over there with the laundry.
Except Rico's got the inside trail on that. He gets this guy to reopen the bar for a private thing. It's literally like him and two people, and they just go in and drink. And I don't know. Yeah.
To be fair, my mom died, so it's more of kind of like, hey, are you depressed? You should come over and drink with us.
Well, yes, that is a sad thing, but I think even if that hadn't happened, you'd still have that access. That's all I'm saying.
Possibly.
Yeah. So, anyway.
I mean, we would have access to that down here with all the crap we've been doing with.
Shit.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys have been through the bullshit ringer over the... Jesus.
We could probably write our own apocalypse movie or our own natural disaster movie at this point,
it's like
You haven't already?
This is the end, but version 2.
based on actual events.
Yeah.
So
Just reenact the whole thing, too.
right.
Speaking
You
of
could just
disasters, are we going to talk about fucking music anytime
Yes.
soon?
Yes, we are. Since you guys are our guests, if you would like to talk about the songs that you have in mind or that we have discussed previously, prior to recording.
Rico, why don't you bring yours first then?
Because mine's also the least popular.
That too.
Okay, so it's no fucking like surprise that I'm obviously going to pick something with Sinatra because Sinatra is my fucking idol and my favorite singer. But I will be the first to say, like, not all of Sinatra's covers that he's done some are excellent. Like, he released an album in like 68 called My Way, which obviously includes the fucking song My Way, but like it was him doing covers of popular songs of that time. And Mrs. Robinson was one of them, and that's just not a good cover. It just doesn't sound very good, and he modified some lyrics, and I guess at the time studios were afraid of having the word Jesus, and I guess he was uncomfortable with saying Jesus loves you more than you'll know. He changed it to his friend Jilly. Jilly will, like, it's just like, okay, that's just weird.
Yeah.
So he did do a cover of the Beatles song Yesterday. Now, I'm not the biggest Beatles fan. I like them, but I'm not going to be like, oh, the Beatles is the best fucking rock band ever. I'm not one of those guys. I live near Berkeley, but I'm not going to go that far into being a hipster. You know what I'm saying? However, Yesterday, as just a ballad and a sort of a sad love song, is really, really, really good. And Sinatra, I think, did a better version. My argument is that while McCartney does a great job of displaying heartbreak, Sinatra's version is slower and more heartbreaking. It sounds more like it's not that they broke up with him, it's that they fucking died. And it could be in my current, emotional situation. That's why I gravitate towards it. But it does feel more of a song of tragic loss as opposed to she got wise and dumped my ass. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
When we've listened to that one, that's the thing I noticed a lot too, is it was more, I'm going to say like necessarily like croony, but like it's Sinatra. So it's going to already have that flair to it. So it definitely comes across exactly like you described. It definitely comes across that way. And I do like that one a little bit better because, I mean, I'm pretty sure I can speak for Cody and myself both. We do not really like them.
We're avid Beatle haters. Like, it's just, for one, like, okay, individual artists in the Beatles, like McCartney, fantastic. I have nothing against the guy. But as a whole, I'm so just tired of the trope of the Beatles being like the main icon of pretty much any rock music that it's known to man. Just like Elvis Presley, I can't fucking stand Elvis because of that reason.
Same.
I'm with you.
Two, I can't stand his voice, but that's a whole nother story. Being that Sinatra does have that kind of emotionalness to his voice when he does sing and actually makes it more of like a soft ballad and more of like an emotional ballad. Yeah, it does in that aspect make it better than the Beatles version.
Well, the crazy thing is about the song Yesterday is that it's half of a story. It's the one side of a story because when you listen to the lyrics, nothing goes anywhere. And I view that as like fragmentations of thoughts of like, why did she leave me? What's going on? We've all been there. We've all like, what did I do? Oh, it's all her fault. It's all askewed, if you would, of like thought process of emotions. Whereas Sinatra was such a legend at phrasing and not only just singing a song, but telling a story and making it relatable. So I felt like listening to his version, I could implement a story and it made more sense, like loss and tragedy. And yeah.
It was definitely easier to follow Sinatra than it would be the Beatles version, basically.
Right.
So I'm going to chime in now because I have a feeling this is going to be terrible for me. I am a Beatles fan. However, Cody and Richie, I get your perspective and I understand it. Like, honestly, because I'm not even like the Beatles are the best thing to ever walk the planet. There was years where I didn't like them, and then I kind of came around about 10, 15 years ago or so. But I didn't come around and become like, oh my God, they're the best thing ever. I just came into a new appreciation, new respect for the songs and for the music. And honestly, to say this very quickly, there's obviously two distinct eras in Beatles. There's pre-drugs and post-drugs, and I like most of the post-drug songs as opposed to the pre-drug songs. So, I mean, there's that too. So there's that. For me, Enrico's going to think I'm saying this just because we have this dynamic where he seems to think all I want to do is shit on Sinatra. I didn't like the cover personally. And it's not even that I don't like Sinatra. Rico knows I played This Town the other day for our pre-show. So like, it's not that I'm not a Sinatra guy, but I'm not the biggest Sinatra guy, but what I felt like he did that I didn't like is what Rico actually mentioned. He slowed it down. There are times when you can do that with a cover and it works. And I'll give you a really good example. When Johnny Cash slowed down 9 Inch Nails' Hurt, that worked perfectly. Right. I think it actually worked better than the original. But I don't like the way Sinatra slowed this one down. Now, the Beatles version isn't like up-tempo and, 100 beats per second, crazy fast. But it's the slowdown of it, I think, actually, to me, loses something. I don't know what it is, but that's how I viewed it. I don't hate it, but if I'm picking between the two, I'm actually going to take the Beatles version on that one because I didn't like the slowdown.
Well, thanks for having me here, guys. I'm going to fuck off.
But that's just how I viewed it. I mean, it's not a bad cover, but if if the point of the conversation is which one would you select, which one would you listen to on regular rotation out of those two, I would go the Beatles over the Sinatra one. But
I mean,
that's just me.
Bringing in the Johnny Cash like Hurt cover though, like you're taking like Sinatra and Johnny, who have both gone down some really dark holes in their lives, and they take two songs that kind of relate to them in some way and make it more personal to them. Like they take all of that trauma, all of that like pain and make it work for them. And it may not be the best fit when it comes to like, okay, you compare Sinatra to the Beatles, it's two very drastically different artists. You compare Johnny Cash to 9 Inch Nails, obviously again, two very drastically different artists, but what they do is they don't bring their flair as much as they bring their hurt, their actual emotion, their past to that song because it makes sense to them. So I think that's why Sinatra's version works better for me than the Beatles, because I can't follow the song with the Beatles as much as I can with Frank Sinatra's, how he expresses how he's felt with that song, using that song basically.
That makes sense, and I get that. I mean, like songs, obviously, I think we all agree songs hit different people different ways, right? You could play the same song for a group of 10 people, and it's going to hit all 10 people very differently, right? So that's not, it just didn't connect for me for whatever reason. Like I gave it more and Rico can believe me or not on this because I have a feeling he won't. I gave it multiple listens. Like I didn't just listen to it once and be like, no, didn't like that. It's like I played through it 4 or 5, maybe 6 times before I just was like, no, I still, and I saw parts of it that I liked and I heard parts that I liked. And there's definitely, it has the right place in the right thing. Like I could see that being in on a soundtrack of something. I don't know what, like I don't know what movie, but I could see that being in if you want to use the song, but you need like a different feel to the, and it could be a movie about loss, to Rico's point. You know what I mean? I don't know what it would be off the top of my head, but like if you had something like that, and you needed something with more of the feels, yeah, I would probably go to the Sinatra over the Beatles for sure.
I think there should be a Beatles biopic, and all the music is just done with covers of their songs, and have that be like, so instead of McCartney doing Yesterday, you had Sinatra, just to really fuck with the Beatles fans.
Is it isn't that Yesterday? I thought
no.
Okay, I haven't seen it yet, so I can't speak to it. Anyway, so. But no, listen. I personally, I mean, listen, I give Rico a lot of crap about Sinatra, but honestly, I didn't think it was that bad. It's just if I had to pick, like if we're making choices, that's it. What?
You're really fucking trying to dig yourself out of a hole here.
No, it's not digging myself out of a hole, but I know it's going through your brain. I know you well enough to know that you're just like, okay, well, it's Sinatra, he hates it, and that's not the case,
Well, yeah, because you said, oh, well, I played this town the other day. I'm like, yeah, that was the only Sinatra song you've ever played. It's the only one you like.
No, that's not true.
It is true.
No, no, it's not. See, I'm not coming on their show to argue with you, but I'm telling you right now that's not the case.
All right.
We're having very constructive arguments. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. So.
No, he's just a 41-year-old bitch.
God damn it.
And here we go.
Happy birthday, you fuck.
Yeah, I'm a 34-year-old bitch, so I mean, yeah.
I'm 29 and not a bitch.
Oh, no, you're a bitch. There's no doubt.
Well, how about that for the debate?
Depends on the context of the bitch that you are, basically. But yeah.
In this context, I'm right. They agree with me. You're wrong. You're the bigger bitch.
Fair enough. All right. Your guys' show, but should we move on to the next one, or did you?
Yeah. If you want to,
please, for the love of fuck, let's go to the next song.
So CJ knows I had a hard time picking, like, because you did too. Honestly,
yep.
Have a hard time picking between a couple of them. Because mine was initially going to be the Johnny Cash 9 Inch Nails cover, or the vice versa, or whatever, the same song. Yeah,
that thing. Yeah.
But ironically, like CJ and I both have like the same artist, so I thought that was kind of cool. I went with Hymn's cover of "Don't Fear the Reaper" by Blue Oyster Cult, and the reason I went with that one is, again, when an artist does a cover of a song, I try to look for something different that's going to happen or a different take on it. And I feel like with the whole lyricism and like the subject matter of the song, I think it fit Villavallo and the rest of the band perfectly. They already had, at that point on their first release, they already had that real heavier goth rock sound. And the way they slow it down with piano playing the main guitar riff of the song and then adding the duet on top of it, I thought it was really more kind of how the Yesterday cover was. Like it has like a different feel to it, because like Don't Fear the Reaper from Blue Oyster Cult having that kind of a quicker pace, it's a classic song, we all know it, but I thought the slower tempo suited it a little better, and I really enjoy it, and I find myself going back to that one a lot more, and it's heavier too, like to a fault. I mean, and it's not me being biased, because I really enjoy that band a lot, but as far as that song goes, I thought it fit very well for their style. And I thought they pulled it off nicely. I know we all kind of like took a listen to everybody's like songs before, we started recording and everything. Did y'all have any like thoughts on that particular one?
While I did like the Hymn version, I do prefer the original.
Right.
But I do like the Hymn cover. I like the duet to it. And I think my biggest issue is that I don't know if they knew where they were going. It sounded like they were trying multiple things to cover one song. You see what I'm saying? Like it, and I agree with you in the sense that it's good that an artist, when they cover an original song, they make it their own. But it just kind of felt like they didn't know how to make it their own. Like there was a part of it where it was like they added like a distortion of like, it sounded like an old timey record. And I didn't like that. It just sounded. It was like they were throwing all the darts at the board, trying to hit and make a classic cover, I guess, so to speak. And I kind of like the original more.
The thing that was weird when I was listening to it, and Regal pointed it out to me too, when we were talking about it briefly before we got on here, was that it seems to stop like 3 separate times. Like you think the song is over, and then they pick it back up again. Like it draws out and then it stops. It almost sounds like an ending. And the first one, I remember the first time I listened to it, because with all these, I listened to them, especially the ones I hadn't heard before. I listened to them a few times, and like the first dropouts at like at a minute 35, and you're like, fuck, I know hymn's a lot faster than Blue Oyster Cult in a lot of ways, but Jesus Christ, that's a little short.
Yeah, when he and I were listening to it, I said, all right, that was interesting. He's like, oh no, it's not done. I'm like, oh fuck.
Yeah, but at the same time, and Rich, you and I have had plenty of music conversations. So like, I agree with you about the, making your own, like without getting into it, because this isn't one of the ones on the list today, but like the Limp Bizkit cover of Metallica, they twist that totally around,
right?
And it's really interesting. So I'm all for putting your own spin on stuff. That I don't have a problem with. There's aspects of the slowdown that sound really good, because I know that goes pretty much against what I just said about the Sinatra one, but that for me it worked with the hymn cover. But at the same time, yeah, and the duet I love too. But at the same time, Rico's point, the thing in the middle where they put in and made it sound like an old timey record, that didn't make any sense to me. And the problem is, again, as you said, the original, the Blue Oyster Cult version is such a classic. Like making the piano, the riff was interesting, but you're so used to hearing that riff at that beat pace, so that when you hear it on the piano, like the first time I listened to it, I was like, I almost didn't hear it at all. Like I was like, did they take the classic riff out of one of the most classic riff songs ever?
Mm-hmm.
And it took a couple listens for me to actually hear it coming through on the piano.
You know what the biggest
I'm a
fucking
him
problem?
fan. What's that?
You know what the biggest problem of it was?
Mm-hmm.
It needed more cowbell.
My God. The fever is still there.
Yeah, I mean, and that honestly, he's making the joke, but he's not wrong. Like that was missing. Like they needed it, if they weren't going to have the cowbell, which is fine, but they needed to simulate it somehow else. They needed to do something. There had to be like a guitar note or something that was hitting at that same thing, even at the same beat level as the rest of the song. Just to have that, or like I don't know what they would use, like
the ride bell on the ride cymbal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like a cymbal or a chime or something that hit at that same pace or that same spot that the cowbell would have hit in the original, because I feel like that was missing from it, honestly, so, but I didn't hate it. And I actually, I download all the songs we're talking about today that I didn't already own. I downloaded, like I went and got the songs. So like, I didn't just listen to them on YouTube. Like I went and got the songs. So I've gone through them quite a few times, and it will be in my regular rotation. And when I'm doing like a cover thing, if I'm in a mood for covers, which I sometimes get in a mood to, I will have that in the rotation, and I will have the Sinatra one. So fuck off, Rico. But like
you beat me by half a second. I was about to say you're gonna throw that in the trash, aren't you?
No, I paid 99 cents for that. It was about what it was worth. So
wow, you are a
gloves are off, people. Here we go.
You sloppy fuck.
The gloves are always off on PodAskew. We don't hold
so I can easily fist you fuck.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. So, but that was my thoughts on it. Anyway, Cody, I didn't hear if you said anything about it yet, but
no, I was enjoying the banter too much to actually chime in, to be honest. But
dude, fuck Fear the Reaper. You better fear the Rico.
If you hear a cowbell coming for you, CJ, it's the Rico,
and it's just like a slow build from like
exactly
quiet.
It. Yeah,
it's like a slow build, like.
It's kind of like that Baldi's Basics with the ruler. Slap, 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 slap.
Fucking hell. Damn it.
But my thing is, I like both bands as a whole when it comes to their unique styles and everything like that. But I kind of do agree with y'all. I'm more of a Blue Oyster Cult tie-in with them. I love their sound more, and I think I'm more because I'm spoiled to the meme that is the Will Ferrell and the Christopher Walken Saturday Night Live skit. So I'm just constantly, every time I hear that name, the song name, that's automatically I go to the original. Now, nothing against him as far as their sound goes. Like, I love everything about this song, but it just, to me, it doesn't feel quite right listening to that version as much as the original, which is like, again, there's nothing to diss them as a whole. Like, Vil Vallo, still spectacular in everything he does, but...
Right. And the funny thing is, I almost went with the fucking Chris Isaac cover. but I went with the Blue Oyster Cult one just because it was different, and because I like all the covers that they do in general.
Yeah,
but the Wicked Game cover they did by Chris Isaak was pretty fucking good.
And actually, I heard that when I was doing my searching for the Blue Coin, and actually kind of like that one better. So if you had picked that one, I probably would have been more in your camp, honestly.
No, it's cool. Like, I'm kind of used to being the dude that gets made fun of for liking that band a lot, believe it or not. So it don't matter. Like, and I hate Kiss, but it's like, the people that are like in the fucking Kiss army, like they're diehards, you know what I mean? So it's like,
yes,
I'm used to being like the lone wolf there as far as that band goes, not Kiss, him. So,
I mean, if you look at your arm, I mean, come on.
Right.
I do want to stress, though, I mean, again, Rich, I've talked about it, but I am a him fan. I like the band. I have a couple of their albums. I don't have the one that has that cover on it, but I do have a couple of the albums. So I'm a fan of the band, and I like their music. It's just, and I didn't dislike the song, but if I'm picking, like if I'm going to say I can only listen to one of these two for the rest of my life, I'm going Blue Oyster Cult over the him version, personally.
Yeah. There ain't nothing wrong with that shit. Because I mean, I really like the original too. It's just I find myself, because I have their stuff in my, like, downloaded in rotation a lot on my phone whenever I'm driving or whatever. So like it comes up, and I just jam it out. So,
and I mean, Cody, to your point, I think the song, while a classic rock song, of course, I think we all agree on that. It's just a classic, period. But it got a real resurgence with the Saturday Night Live skit, and opened it up to a whole bunch of people that probably never knew anything about the song.
Right.
So
it's been featured in a lot of movies too. I mean, it was featured in like Scream. So
right.
That's early to mid 90s. So that did bring it back to semi-popularity again.
Well, let me rephrase that. I think what it did is it brought the band Blue Oyster Cult, because people knew the song, but you didn't know who did it. So the skit tied the song to the band, and then now that's kind of what I meant. But,
I would agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
For once.
For once.
Since you mentioned it, Richie, that I have a Blue Oyster song as well. Should I go into that, or do we have more we want to say on the other one?
No, absolutely.
Yeah, go with yours.
All right. So I couldn't pick between two. I did my damnedest. I really did, and I even called you, Richie. I was like, I can't do it.
I remember.
I can't do it. So the first one, because it's also Blue Oyster Cult, is I actually picked Metallica's a cover of Astronomy from Blue Oyster Cult, which now, to be fair, when I first heard the cover, I was not familiar with the original. I had to go back and find the original, which is what I think a good cover song does. If you find a good cover song and you're not familiar with it, if it makes you want to go back, find the original, then you know it's a good cover. That's just, and I feel like that goes across the board. That's not a Metallica thing. That's any band that does a cover or artist. But the way they took a rock band and made it heavier without losing the feel of the song, I feel like. And that's hard to do, because sometimes if you try to make something heavier or more intense, you'll lose the original feel. And I don't think you lose that with this cover. That's just where I stand on it.
Yeah, I actually listened to it whenever you told me. It was interesting just because, like, I'm used to Metallica doing covers, like if anybody out there has bought like the Garage Inc. album, for instance, like that is a whole fucking slew of covers right there, and they're pretty damn good, so yeah. That was one that kind of threw me through for a loop whenever I heard it. I was like, oh shit, I didn't realize that this was a fucking thing. And I quite enjoyed it. Thought it was pretty well done. Obviously it's Metallica, so it's going to be a little bit heavier and shit. And I was trying to find out what album it was on. And was it the fucking one they did with
It's on Garage Inc.
Is it on Garage Inc? I thought it was on. I thought it was the one with fucking
Lulu.
Yeah.
No, it's not on. Not Lulu.
Yeah.
No, Lulu's actually not a cover album. It's all like original content that they wrote together with Lou Reed, which is, look, Lou Reed's a fucking legend, but no.
Yeah.
No, that's actually on Garage Inc. It's the disc one. And what's really interesting about that, real quick, Richie, just because I know you're into this kind of stuff, it comes on the track listing right after the Merciful Fate medley that they do. So you come right out of Merciful Fate into that cover of Astronomy, and you're like, Jesus Christ. Like,
right.
It's a 1-2 punch, man.
Yeah,
crazy good.
Yeah, because like, and along the same lines on that album, whenever, like, what was it, Stone Cold Crazy? They did that when I've like all that shit is fucking great. And I mean, of course, everybody listens to the Whiskey in the Jar cover because I think that was the one that got played the most off of that.
It was the radio one. Yeah,
it was the radio. Off that album, just quickly, you can go Astronomy, you can go Bread Fan, you can go the Waitlist, you can go Small Hours, you can go Green Hell. There's multiple good covers on that album, and honestly, I almost want Bread Fan, the Budgie song, but I think I just like Astronomy that much more, and that's why I ultimately went with the Astronomy as opposed to, because I couldn't get into a conversation about covers and not pick a Metallica cover, because to your point, they're so good at doing them. I mean,
their version of So What is, I think, better than the original.
Same.
Oh, it's way better. Yeah.
However, I when I was listening to Metallica's fucking cover of Astronomy, is that what it is?
Yeah.
It took me a couple minutes to like get into it. Like I thought it was so slow, and it could just be the fact that while I do like Metallica, I'm not the bigger aficionado that CJ is, just like him and me and Sinatra and all that. I don't need to dig up that fucking argument again. But it felt extremely strange to hear Metallica start out very, very slow and take a while to get a build up. And I have to admit, I was kind of bored for the first like minute and a half. I was like, is fucking Hetfield gonna do something? Like, yes, when it finally picked up, it was good, but I feel that Blue Oyster Cult knocked it out of the park from the fucking beginning. Original.
The Blue Oyster Cult version's not much. I don't think the speed's much different. The speed,
but for the
same.
But for the differing artists and everything, I felt like it worked for them as opposed to Metallica, because it's strange to it would like. I don't know how do I describe it. It would be like hearing Johnny Cash do Screamo. You're just like, what the fuck? What is this? I walked the Lord. Like, holy fuck, Johnny! Like, no wonder you died. You sound awful.
I heard.
God,
that's my argument. Is that while eventually it did become a good enough cover, I felt like there were some things that I would have changed to make it even better. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah.
See, with me, I grew up from like middle school throughout my college years listening to every single Metallica album from beginning to end, and the Astronomy cover was the first time I heard of that song, period. And then later on in life, I heard the Blue Oyster Cult version, the original, and I'm so used to Metallica's version that it's hard for me to go back to, which it's kind of strange considering that we talked about the hymn version of the Blue Oyster Cult song. It's just, I'm so used to hearing Metallica's music, and the length of it doesn't bother me. The slow pace doesn't bother me because there's a good like collection of songs throughout their whole entire discography that does that slow build up, that does that heavy middle section, and then it kind of slowly builds back down. So I'm used to that stylization with that song, so it doesn't really affect me as much as y'all or for y'all do. But I'm more of a fan of Metallica's cover just because A, I'm used to it, and B, it makes sense to me more so than the Blue Oyster Cult one version, I guess.
No, I agree.
Yeah, and I think I'm in the same boat as you, Cody, just because the first time I ever heard the song was the Metallica cover. And it forced me to go back and find the Blue Oyster Cult. And by the time I did, I'd heard the Metallica one so many damn times that it was like, it didn't have the same power. You know what I mean? So I agree with you there. It just doesn't resonate with me for that reason. And you know, Rico not being as versed in Metallica's library wouldn't be familiar with the, like you're talking about, the slow build up, because he's not wrong. There's multiple songs they had to have that slow build, hit the punch, and then kind of some of them tail back off on the end.
And that's fair.
That's not-
I acknowledge that my repertoire is a little fucking skewed when it comes to Metallica.
I mean, a lot of my favorite Metallica songs in general, like I always reference Orion as probably one of my favorite Metallica songs, even though it's a straight up instrumental. It's just a fucking ride from the beginning to end on so many fucking levels. And that's just like part of the magic. And I always make this argument with no matter who I talk about, from Black Album up like to the beginning, that's the essence of Metallica that I'm so fond of. And I always tell like Orion's like my favorite song from that whole period because of that. Like that's a good way to give an example of what Metallica is.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a very good example. I can make an argument for Death Magnetic though, Cody. I could argue that album because I think that's one of the best albums they've ever put out, honestly. And I still love the first 5, of course. But yeah.
Death Magnetic was a good attempt to kind of go back to their roots. However, it doesn't completely grab the essence of the originals, like the precursor that came before, or that came before the Black Album, basically. So I'm not doubting it's a bad album. It's just not quite there for me.
And I think my biggest issue with that was the loudness wars, because that was like, it was released in the middle of like when every artist was trying to be like, okay, let's fucking record as loud as we can. Because I think the Alice in Chains album that did come out around that same time did the same damn thing.
Yeah.
That was like my biggest gripe about it. And I agree with what you said. It definitely, they tried to do what they were doing before and pretty good for the most part. But like you said, it just didn't like grab the spirit entirely of like their earlier material, but a goddamn great attempt.
Right.
I'm just glad Rick Rubin didn't fuck them up because I can't stand him as a producer. So that's just how I view that. that's a different conversation. But yeah, but that's all I can really say about that cover. I mean, it just the intensity. I feel like there's a massive intensity coming from James's vocals in that entire cover. There's something. His vocals are as much of an instrument in that song, more than probably any other song he sings on. Like he sings, but like that one, it almost feels like another instrument as opposed to just the lyrics and the words. To me, the way he presents that song. So, anyway,
wasn't there another song, or was that That was it.
Well, that was it for the Metallica one. The other one that I had on my list was. And this is going, I mean, at least with Blue Oyster Cult Metallica, it's both rock. It might be like 70s versus like, in this case, 2000s, because that's when they covered the song. But this one going left and right. But this band that I'm about to mention, I know Richie and I are both huge fans of, and we both love, I'd say 95% of their covers, because they have like 2 that are like, no. But the rest of them are damn good. And that's Typo Negative's cover of Neil Young's Cinnamon Girl, which, you want to talk about power in a song. That song, I've said this to people, and I get laughed at all the time, and it may happen here too, and that's fine. But that song envelops you. Like, legitimately, I feel like wraps itself around you and just, like, bear hugs the fuck out of you while you're listening to it. It's something about the way that song kicks in, it just does that. And I actually, when I got my system put in my car 20 years ago at this point, because it's moved from car to car, and they were sound testing it, they had me pick 5 songs to test the bass to, and that was one of the songs I picked, because that drum hit at the beginning of it, it's perfect. So that's me.
Yeah, I really like that cover. That was on Bloody Kisses, wasn't it? Was it Bloody Kisses? Yeah.
No,
or is that October Rust?
October Rust.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that album like in general, but that was a pretty fucking good cover. I think we both agreed that Black Sabbath cover was not so great, though. No. Yeah. But yeah, I really like the Cinnamon Girl cover, too. In fact, I like it a little bit more than Neil Young's, to be quite honest.
Oh, by far. Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, I'm not a fan of Neil Young's music to begin with, so I'm for y'all with the Typo Negative to begin with, so.
I'm with you. I'm not a big Neil Young fan, but I actually did prefer his version over Typo Negative. Like, I don't know. I think I just have not listened to a lot of, I guess, good music.
It's about time you admit that.
Well, I can definitely say you listen to all music, and I don't know if you even know what you like personally. I think
like fun things.
Yeah. Okay.
Round 2.
Here we go.
Ding ding, motherfucker. I think the original is better. Personally, I did not really appreciate the way the singer of O Negative fucking sings. It just didn't sound good to me. I think it felt like they took a ballad and then fucked it up. I think there are certain things that should be, left alone. Like, I'm all for like other metal artists covering metal artists. That's fine. Make it your own, but and fuck around with it. But I think, like, let's go back to Yesterday for a second. If there is a fucking Metallica version of Yesterday, I don't know if any of us like can say it's better or worse. I think it's just too different because ballads are all about love and heartbreak and romance and shit. And that's not to say metalheads don't feel that, but I'm saying it's a very specific type of fucking, easy.
I wouldn't call Cinnamon Girl a ballad, though. That's not how I would identify as a ballad, personally.
I heard it more as a ballad than I guess you guys did.
Actually, I feel like to a degree, and Richie and Cody, if you disagree, tell me. But I think from a pure tempo perspective, I think the Neil Young one's actually a little bit faster, isn't it?
I think so.
It's not drastically, but by like maybe a step.
It's enough to be noticeable. So
yeah,
I really don't have like a scientific way of saying I didn't really like it. It's just that I just didn't really like it.
If I could postulate for a minute, Rico, I think, and this goes back to the hymn cover as well. I think that goth rock has a very niche audience, and if you either like it or you don't, there's not really an in between there. And because hymn falls into that category as well, hymn's very goth rock, typo's very goth rock. So if it's not your style, because that's where the singing comes from too, then it may not hit for you, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that.
But my counter argument is that up until very recently, I was a big Marilyn Manson fan. Like, I think Sweet Dreams, his cover is better than the Eurythmics. I think his version of Tainted Love, I mean,
it's terrible.
I like it because it's more, for me, it's catchier. So I listen to a lot of Marilyn Manson, a lot of Nine Inch Nails. So I get goth rock.
Look, with respect to both of those bands, and you guys tell me if you disagree, but I don't think they're goth rock. They want to be goth rock, not in the true sense of like a hymn, a Typo Negative, Lacuna, which I know is coming up a little bit later. Like, those bands are goth rock. Manson, Nails are more industrial rock with a hint of goth like thrown into it, and that's the major difference between what we're talking about, I think.
I can't fucking keep up with like the modern terms because I'm like, okay, Marilyn Manson's a goth and he does rock. How is he not goth fucking rock?
He's not goth. He's a male Madonna.
He's goth presenting.
He's a goth Donna, basically.
He's the goth father?
Man.
Oh, God.
The goth father.
No.
I can't fucking keep up with you fucking kids with your modern music and goth rocks. I can't fucking keep up with this.
But hear me out. Back to your argument, Rico, about the Tainted Love. I actually prefer the original version because I think that version is way more catchier. Like, I can get into that version. Now, granted, the Marilyn Manson version, yeah, it does have that kind of just that uncomfortable, just like grotesque, like not in a bad way, but it makes you feel like a sexual dirtiness to it. But the Tainted Love, the original, I can't. That one I can get into more, basically.
Let me put it this way. Manson's version put more tainted and less love.
Right.
Yes.
And that's where I was getting the sexual, uncomfortable, like dirtiness from, but yeah.
Especially if you watch the music video, you're like, ew.
Yeah. But as far as it being catchier, I don't agree. I think the original is way catchier. So
I feel the original is catchier to make fun of. I feel like sometimes I feel like even fucking Coneheads made fun of it. Whereas like you just I don't know. I know I'm going to be the least popular one on this episode.
I think we're all going to be least popular in some category, though.
Right.
Yeah, like definitely.
When that fucking song comes on the radio, without fail, anytime that song comes on and the happens, I fucking honk my car horn and everybody looks at me like I'm a dick and I'm just fucking waving just like, hey, just being a
get away.
I've got to make you.
People look at you as like you're a dick while you're driving anyways.
Yeah, I mean.
Because your name is Dick.
That's me every day, all day.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and Rico, just to your point about the Eurythmics, listen, I'm with you. I actually prefer the Manson one over the Eurythmics, but the Eurythmics is still a great song. So,
they definitely made a great fucking song. But I think this qualifies for the cover is slightly superior.
I agree. I'm agreeing with you. I said I'm agreeing with you. Yeah. I like the Manson one better.
Even when you and I agree, we still argue.
Yeah, well,
the constant tension, even if y'all agree, is still there. So.
Yeah.
I'm glad you agree, you son of a bitch.
Thanks for seeing my viewpoint.
That's the only one of Manson's covers I've actually liked, though. I don't like Tainted Love. I don't like Personal Jesus. I just They don't.
I just don't like Manson
They don't-
anymore.
I don't like Manson anymore for very personal. I mean, I have a whole fucking like Spotify playlist. I took all the songs off. I was just like, nah.
Yeah, I did. You know, I know Xanthus ran Sweet Dreams on his show the other night, but he needed the content. So what are you gonna do? You know, that's just. So that was it for my two covers, though. I definitely liked. But again, and just to finish off the typo, Cinnamon Girl one, to your point, Cody, about astronomy, it's the same thing. Neil Young is Neil Young, and he's, iconic and whatever, but I didn't hear Cinnamon Girl before I heard the typo.
Mhm.
Like, I had to go back and find Neil Young. So by the time I found the Neil Young one, I was like, oh. You know?
You're just too spoiled for the other one you heard, so yeah.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Who did this one? Oh, you.
Oh, Neil.
Neil Old.
I think that
Neil
means-
Old.
It's a Neil Young.
I think that leaves us with Cody's selection. Am I
Yeah.
not?
Yeah. I brought up another version or another song like kind of later in the day, but that's more of an honorable mention. But my original song is Enjoy the Silence by Depeche Mode, and it was actually covered by two bands. One of them I really love to death no matter what, which I'm going to talk about them first, is Amberlin. Now, you hear, Depeche Mode's version of it, and it's more of that like synthy, dark pop, 80s sound to it, and it makes you just kind of feel a certain way and, some aspects emotionally. And then Amberlin, they kind of modernize it and they kick it up and they get you more into it without it being too drastically different to where it makes you like hate on their version versus the Depeche Mode version. So I think what they did was just basically kind of not vary away from the course too much, but they made it their own sound because Steven's vocals, I always love his vocal works, and he kind of does emphasize a little bit more emotionally with his vocals versus how Depeche Mode does it. But you can still kind of tell with their vocals, there's still emotion in there. Now, I think probably now that I constantly think about it back and forth with the tennis match in my brain, the Lacuna Coil version is more superior to me as far as between them and Amberlin, only for the fact that, like you were saying earlier, they're more of that glam goth rock from Italy, and they tend to be more like out there, more instrumental, more orchestral, and just like over the top almost in a way. But Christina's vocals as a whole, just they're haunting, they're chilling, they kind of like make you feel uneasy, and just it's almost like taking your spirit out of your body and just making you feel like, out of a different plane basically. But I think my favorite part of that cover is the very tail end when she just belts out. And it's just, like I said, it's haunting. It's visceral. It's just, I love Christina's vocals so damn much in that cover. But yeah, like that's my main topic is I love Depeche Mode so much. I love the original. And I think those two did a great job of covering that song with Lacuna Coil being just a little bit more, being different and just having more of an impact personally.
Yeah, I think I have to agree with you, Cody. I'm a huge Depeche Mode fan myself too. Like I've been a big fan for a long time. And when I first put Karma Code, the Lacuna Coil album, in and was listening to it, and then finally got to enjoy the silence, and at first I was like, because it is different enough so that when it starts off, you're like, this sounds familiar, but I don't know what this is. And then it gets a little bit into it, and you're like, oh. They went for Depeche, and then they do the song, and you're right. She belts that thing out at the end. It's fantastic. So, but it is good. And this one is the one that I had the hardest time deciding upon, because the Amberlin one as well is really good. Like, honestly, I think if you maybe I might be sacrileging a little bit here, Cody, and I'll let you tell me if you agree. But if you take the Amberlin music and put the Lacuna's vocals into it, I think it would be a perfect cover. Because I think the music composition on the Amberlin one was slightly better, but the vocals, to your point about how they do in Lacuna, worked better. So I don't think it would ultimately mix well, in reality. But if you could make that blend, I think it would be perfect.
That'd be the hard part, though. Like, if you try and blend Christina's vocal work with Amberlin's, there's just like production value. Like, it's just too drastically different. Like, energies going.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think logistically it would function, but I'm saying I preferred the music, the music end of Amberlin's better. But then I liked But like you said, Christina's vocals, she's just one of the best ever. And on a song like that is haunting in and of itself to a degree. The original's pretty haunting. So to take her and kick it up to like 12, you can't do better. So I don't know. I mean, and it's not that I don't like the music composition on the Lacuna version. I do like it, and I had never heard the Amberlynn until you suggested it. But then when I heard that, I was like, oh, I really like how they put the music together on this. So that's just where I stood,
Dead silence.
Enjoy it.
Yeah. No, I agree. Because I like both of the versions of this song. And it's hard to ever pick between the two of them because I enjoy Amberlynn quite a lot. And I've fucking seen Lacuna Coil live, and I love that band to no end as well. But I do think, they both have something to offer. But I do agree to your point, CJ, that I like Amberlynn's musical composition better. But also, yeah, Christina is just a fucking powerhouse.
I don't want to sound like a queer or nothing, but I think Depeche Mode's a kick-ass band.
They are a kick-ass band.
I fucking love that movie.
You guys ever see Orgasmo?
Yes, I love that fucking movie so much.
I haven't.
Matt Stone's character is a fucking gopher for the porno set, and he keeps going up to Trey Parker and keeps starting with the sentence, "I don't want to sound like a queer or nothing," and then it just evolves into this weird thing. But at one point he says, "Hey, do you think this band sounds like Depeche Mode?" I don't know, maybe. Well, I don't want to sound like a queer or nothing, but I think Depeche Mode kicks ass. And then it evolves later. He's like, I don't want to sound like queer or nothing, but I kind of want to make love to you tonight. But every time I hear Depeche Mode, I think of Matt Stone saying that fucking line.
That's fair.
And now I attribute it to all three of you.
Which, nothing against you. Like I said, I love Depeche Mode too. The end of time. There's nothing wrong with them at all. Something about that Lacuna Coil cover just hits on every fucking note for me.
Yes.
But the runner-up one that I had, which it just popped in my brain the other day, Great, Good, Fine, Okay, which I know is a weird name for a group, and Panama Wedding covered Easy Lover by Phil Collins. It's not too much different from the original. What they did was they add a lot of the electronical aspect, the more modernized electronical aspect to this version. And the vocals, they almost sound exactly like Phil Collins and Earth, Wind & Fire. It's almost spot on, especially with the Phil Collins lines. They're just closely relatable.
And maybe I missed something, but did you just say Phil Collins was in Earth, Wind & Fire?
No, he was in that song.
Well, okay, yes, but okay, I just got confused. I'm sorry.
In the Genesis, there was Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Yes.
That's why I got confused. I was like, no, he was in Genesis the last time I checked. But yeah, okay, sorry, my bad.
I'll have to take your word for it because I have not heard any of that. So, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of funk that's left over in it. Because there's the electronic aspect, but the funk is absolutely there, and that's really what drives the song in general, and fuck, it's good.
Yeah.
If we're talking about not Neil Young, sorry, Phil Collins covers, honestly, what do you guys think of Nonpoint's cover of In the Air Tonight? Have you heard that?
Oh, I have.
That's the one that was on the Miami Vice the movie with Jamie Foxx, that one. I think they played that in the trailer whenever that was coming out, and that's the first I had heard of it.
I don't know if it was in that or not, but yeah.
I didn't like it.
I will say they did a good blend of keeping kind of the same ambiance, but making it a little bit more edgier, a little bit more rock based. And the vocals weren't too terrible. I'm still used to him being that Spanish metal, just blah, whenever he sings and stuff. Yeah. So it's just kind of weird hearing him kind of keep that low energy basically, but it did a good job with it.
Okay, but you went from weren't too terrible to they did a good job. It's one or the other.
There's a middle ground.
Terrible is not a compliment.
It's a middle ground for me, I guess you can say. But like I said, they didn't completely ruin it, but they didn't knock it out of the park basically. So it's a middle ground.
Just say it was fine.
Yeah. Great, good, fine, okay.
Yeah. Grand, wonderful.
But on your note, CJ, if you ever listen to Banks' arcade version, theirs is a little bit interesting too. I would see how your take on that is.
I've never heard of them, but if you guys send me the name of it afterwards, I'll make sure to look it up because I'll check that out.
Yeah.
The other one that I thought I should bring up, just because I think it's a great cover, it's It's one of my favorites. I don't necessarily think it's like phenomenal, but it's just one of my favorites, and that's a Treyus cover of "You Give Love a Bad Name" by Bon Jovi. I love that cover. I mean, especially because if you know the original song and the way it starts off, where it says, shot through the heart, and and you're to blame, you give a love a bad name, and then the music kicks in. That's how the original version starts. In that gap between those words and the music, they just scream "fuck you" as loud as humanly possible. And it's just an amazing, like, the song already, in my opinion, was a fuck you to an ex-lover. That made it that much more. And, not just because they say fuck you, but just the energy at which he brings it is just crazy. And it's high level, high energy all the way through. And there's not a second of downtime on it. Richie, I know you've heard it because I've played it for you.
That's the thoughts I had when it had first come out. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck?
So quick stories. We got in trouble. I was working at Sam Goody when that album came out, and they used to pump in stuff from corporate that we hated, and we found a way around it. So they thought it was still playing in the store, and we'd play whatever we wanted.
Oh, shit.
And we put that album in, and when they yelled at, like, there's three of us running for the back room trying to stop the music because the kid, it's got to be clean. So, yeah, that didn't go well. But anyway.
I'd had an honorable mention, a couple of them, which was really weird because the Johnny Cash 9 Inch Nails one was one of them, but they're both also 9 Inch Nails, but it's opposite. Like, one is a cover of a 9 Inch Nails, and then one is 9 Inch Nails covering another one. And I won't get long-winded on either of these. It's just really kind of short and sweet. But like, Horse the Band covered March of the Pigs here recently. Like, they just put a 3-song EP out not long ago. And that band is fucking ridiculous. Like the pioneers of the genre Nintendo core, because that is an actual fucking thing.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
And the way they did it was really well done because it was a faithful cover of the song. And there is some like drum breaks that they put in there that doesn't take away from it, but it's fucking really good. And the other one is actually Trent Reznor, not under the 9 Inch Nails name, covering Zoo Station by U2, which I liked because it was very minimalistic. Obviously, it's Trent Reznor. He can be as complicated as possible or as minimal as possible. And in this case, it was a very just a very low end, kind of vibe on it. And I quite enjoyed that one. As much as I love Octung Baby, like the album, that's my favorite U2 album. But that song was one of my favorites on it, and when I heard his cover, I was like, "Oh, that's really cool," because it's different and it's definitely Reznor, like all over it. So, anybody out there?
I did the same thing. Good.
No, I was saying if anybody out there hasn't heard either of those covers, definitely check those out. They're great.
Oh yeah, I need to. You need to send me a list. But the other, if we're talking about Nails covers, like where they cover, and I don't know if you can say it's Nails because technically I think it's. Reznor is Nails, but that's a whole different conversation. But they do the Immigrant Song.
You beat me by a fucking second.
It's a really interesting cover of Led Zeppelin, and as much as I love the Zeppelin cover, and I still do, or this is the original song. I still do. I love that song. Cover's not as bad as you would think. Like I think Immigrant Song is one of those songs. Look. And this is a whole nother discussion, so probably don't do it today, but there's a list of songs you don't go after, you don't cover. And honestly, to Rico's pick, Yesterday to me is a song I don't think you normally go after. Like that's one of those ones you leave alone. But Sinatra did it justice. I may not like it as much, but Sinatra did. No, to the point that like, there's songs when you don't cover a song, like you don't go near it, you shouldn't touch it, or you're just going to destroy it. Sinatra did not destroy Yesterday, not by a long shot. And to me, the Immigrant Song is one of those songs like you just don't fuck with that song. But
I've seen that covered at least through stage, like live productions, like live performances. Sure. I've seen that covered a fucking ton. Like Freddie Mercury did the Immigrant Song at one point on stage.
I need to hear that.
It's weird. Like, and I acknowledge that the Immigrant Song is fucking iconic. I also acknowledge that Reznor, I think he's a fucking genius, and the majority of the shit that he does do, whether it's a cover or an original song, is always good. I mean, here's another fucking thing that CJ and I argue about. The theme music for Halloween, because CJ didn't fucking like the original film of Halloween because that's ha ha ha. You know, I recommend a movie and he fucking hated it. Blah blah blah. Reznor fucking did a cover of the theme music and it's fucking good. I didn't know who could like do a John Carpenter, you know, piece of music and do it just as good.
Mm.
And Reznor and Atticus Ross, dude, they're now a fucking team, but I tip my hat to fucking Reznor all the time.
Oh, fuck yeah. And to your point about the Halloween theme, great composition, great fucking piece of music, iconic as all hell. The 2018 Halloween soundtrack was really fucking good too, because he's got his son and Daniel Davies in on the action as well, which that was a phenomenal fucking score itself. How the weird thing that Cody and I, like, we dissed Halloween 3 a shit ton at first, and then the more we like watched it, we appreciate the fuck out of that
Season of the
one.
Witch, Halloween 3?
Yeah.
Yes. We appreciate the fuck out of that one, but the soundtrack on that is phenomenal.
Listen, for Halloween 2018, because this is a whole other topic, and I would fucking love to have this topic at some point.
Sure.
But Halloween 2018, I had a lot of problems with the story and the film itself, but the music was fucking astounding. That hauntingness that he fucking does, that is Carpenter back for sure. And Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, I think if you didn't call it Halloween 3, it would be infinitely more appreciated because people went there thinking, where the fuck is Michael Myers?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that was what the problem was.
Right.
Is that they didn't, you know, if they made that movie now with the internet and then they said, okay, this is no longer be Michael Myers, it's an anthology fucking thing, then people would have appreciated it more. But back in 1982 or 83, they were expecting more Michael Myers and they were like,
Michael Myers is in the film. I might actually like it then.
He kind of is, but it's on a TV.
Not Mike Myers, you schmuck.
I know what yeah.
But no, he's on a TV screen, like in a bar, I think, on like one scene, and that's it. Like, you don't get the Halloween itself.
Right.
Yeah.
It's basically all that movie is just, you remember that fucking Goosebumps book where like the haunted masks?
Yep.
It's just that, but gorier.
Goosebumps, Season of the Witch.
Season of the Bitch.
Season of the Bitch.
Yeah.
Yes.
Starring Jack Black.
Oh, God.
Oh my God, I forgot they made a fucking movie.
Yes.
Not for nothing, man. The intro to the show, Goosebumps, still freaks me out.
Mm-hmm. Dun, dun, dun,
Fucking,
dun,
who knew
dun.
the Canadians would fucking scare us that much?
It's fucking scary, eh?
Are you scared, eh?
Are you scared, eh?
Scared, eh? You scared, eh, cats, hey?
Oh, look at this dog with the glowing eyes, eh? It's scary, huh?
No, it's just goose pimples you got, eh?
Goose pimples. Oh my God.
Screw you Americans with your goosebumps. We got goose pimples.
God damn it. Oh shit, I think I'm tapped out on songs and all that fucking jazz.
Because we'd be here like another couple of hours just talking about every derail conversation that involved music.
Yeah.
So.
And besides, we gotta
Let's talk movies.
Yeah. So we're going to actually get out of here on our end. And if you guys go to wherever you listen to your podcasts this Monday, you can catch us on PodAskew's show, where we're going to talk about movies, specifically like remakes. You know,
Wait, movie covers?
movie covers.
Are those called posters?
Yeah. We talk about just movie remakes and covers and posters and VHS tapes, all that shit. It doesn't matter. None of this matters.
Yeah. It'll get even more derailed over there. Trust us.
Oh, yeah. So yeah, y'all be sure to join us and all that smooth jazz. But if you want to listen to past, present, and future episodes of the Super Media Bros, go to supermediabrospodcast.com. Check out all the other shows on the OddPods Media Network. Buy some fucking merch. Follow us on social media. You all know the fucking drill by now. It's all in the show notes below. Just fucking scroll down. It doesn't take you but like a second. Just flip the fucking thumb and go. Just click a hyperlink and it'll take you there. It's like fucking magic.
Ooh.
Ooh. But CJ, Rigo, thanks for coming on and hanging out with us and bullshitting.
Thanks for having us on, man. We love talking about stuff, and Rico doesn't let me talk about music, so this allowed me to get to do that for about an hour or so.
No,
we
I
had a
only
good
let
time.
DJ Santos do it.
Who's that guy?
Yeah, I don't know who the fuck he is, but he's got the best fucking like cheerleader ever.
Yep.
An asshole named Carl.
I don't know who the fuck that is either.
Yeah, it's almost like someone has 3 fucking alternates. Like, pick a fucking like whatever. I'm done.
He's tapped out. He's good.
Well, shit. Until next week, I've been Midnight Agent Raw.
Again, I've been Okame.
The shades on.
We're off.